Yes, I can hear you. I can
Yay!
see you. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much.
Good. Oh, of course. Yeah, we're ready to rock this today. Man,
Yes, exactly.
last time was kind of a crap show because I had just taken over online programs the day before, so I didn't
Oh,
really
I
get to reach out
see.
to
Oh my
you, and
God.
then it
Yeah.
was like, holy smoke. So they asked me if I wanted to cancel it, but I said, no, I'm going to go through with it. And then thankfully you were so, gracious after we tried for
Oh,
15
thank you
minutes
so
and you
much.
could
No, 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 no.
reschedule.
You managed it actually very well. I didn't have any connection with our audience. It was all on your shoulders to kind of managing that meeting. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so sorry from my end that it happened, but well, it's technologically, sometimes you have to face
Exactly.
it.
Some
Yeah.
technology doesn't always listen. I'm just going to pull up that PowerPoint that you sent because I am happy to share that. And then you just let me know, Sarah, next slide, please, things like that, right?
Oh, that would be great then. Yeah,
Okay.
actually. Yeah.
Let me see here. Let's see. Where am I? Here I am. Okay, inbox. Do focused other. Oh, I might have to. There we go. Hang on. I might have to send it again. I might have to just cut out for 5 minutes just to. Oh no, there it is. Oh no,
Okay.
that's not
It
it.
says presentation June 18th.
Yes, it does. I thought I sent it to this inbox, but I don't. Well, I thought I did, but it says here I didn't. So I'm gonna actually log out of this one. I don't think I need to be in here anymore, and I'm just gonna go into a different person. Let's see. Add an account. Okay. Mhm. Okay. Sorry, of course everything's taken its sweet time now, but
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we
uh,
have.
okay, so
Yep.
when I introduce you, I'm just gonna say that so you're a realtor, Ellie?
I realtor and the property manager. Actually, those are two different licenses here in
Okay.
Alberta. So
Okay.
realtor mostly deals with buying and selling, and property manager deals with rentals,
Okay, perfect.
residential rentals. Yeah.
Okay, and you're gonna be talking today about um
Yeah, contracts. And yeah, this is something that basically what I found is, well, at the same level, both landlords and tenants enjoy and use the profits if they know better about the situation than what's going on there,
okay.
because it can actually save them from further conflicts and problems down the road. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna introduce you as Ali, you're a realtor and a property manager, and you're gonna discuss some of the different topics and the differences between those two things, and teach us kind of what to look out for and how to be safe when we're looking
Yeah,
into
yeah,
rental agreements.
exactly. Basically,
Perfect.
for having a kind of the secure and with as possible as with least problems through our rental agreements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Now I cannot. This is not moving. Oh no. Oh, it's all
Any idea
frozen.
how many audiences have enrolled for this session?
No, I can go and have a look and see how many people signed up. I didn't look today.
Basically, doesn't matter, as far
Yeah,
as, because sometimes some people sign up and then well, for some reason they don't show up, so that doesn't matter
exactly, right. And
basically. Yeah.
sometimes
So
people come together on one, account
yes,
and stuff
that's
like that.
true.
So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
let me just see if I can get in a different way because I cannot get into my account this way. Um, do. Okay, let's see here. Log in. This might be. Hmm. Okay, here we go. Now it's opening. Hmm.
I like your mug.
What's that?
I like your mug.
Oh yeah, my
Oh,
husband
yeah.
gave it to me. It's OtterBox. So it takes me so
Oh, yeah.
long to drink my coffee in the afternoon. So he
Yes.
got me one of these and it stays warm for hours.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, "Yay, thank you."
I'm
Uh,
I'm a big coffee person, so yeah,
oh,
it's yeah.
I love so I only I was drinking two coffees a day, and then I got really jittery because I'm just like normally high energy. So then I limited it to one a day, and I do it at lunch because I notice I start to crash. So after I eat, I start to get tired
Oh, I
again,
see.
but I
Yeah.
wake up and I'm up here. So I was
Yeah.
like, I skip my morning
Just
coffee.
joking. You switch to one coffee, but in a big mug.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let me see. I just gotta find what you sent to me. Give me one sec here. Mhm. Where are you? Maybe I'll just search and see if I can find it that way.
It's a
Mhm.
PDF file,
I
basically. Yes,
got it
yeah.
here. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Let me see here. Renter's presentation. There it is. Oh, presentation. Okay, let me open that. And then, okay, I've got it here. So I am going to, I don't want to, oops, I don't want to, how do I minimize this? There we go. Okay. Let's see. I might download it and then
Mhm.
I can, and then I can, there we go, show it better. Okay. And let me just make
Okay.
sure that I can share it on my behalf. Do, and share. And then, so can you see
Great.
that? Yeah?
Yes, yeah,
All
that's great.
right.
Yeah. Perfect.
Perfect. Okay. And then I'm gonna bring it in like that way. And then when you let me know
Amazing.
when it's next slide and I'll just go down.
Yes. Yeah, great.
Perfect.
Yes. Now we are
Okay.
there and we are ready to start. So
All
just
right.
waiting for our valued audiences.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay. Let me see here. Now I want to stop sharing. The way that this is all set up is different
Mhm.
from the ways that I used to set up my Zoom, and I'm trying to learn how Heather did it. Um, I haven't had to share. Oh, hang on, no, stop recording. More. Let me see. Raise hand, chat. Okay. Do. Transcripts, whiteboard, view. Um, hang on, stop sharing. One participant can share at a time. Okay. Let's see here. Where is the stop sharing? Hmm. 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 Maybe I'll try this one. Am I still sharing? You're seeing yourself, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I now it's stopped. Yeah.
oh, it
I can see
stopped?
your yeah, I can see your desktop now.
Oh,
No, I
oh,
can see
okay.
your desktop, which is beautiful
Oh,
sunsets.
okay. So you don't see
Yeah.
me though.
And I can see you in a small window on top of my screen, Zoom
Okay.
screen.
All right. Well, I am just
I can
gonna,
see your desktop now.
okay,
Okay.
I don't, it doesn't, mine used to say stop
No,
sharing.
no, 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 no. Actually, we can just hang on to the same thing here.
Okay, perfect. And
Uh,
I'll just leave it like that and I will make the announcement. I'll introduce you and then you could
that
take it away.
that would be amazing. Thank you
Mm,
so much. Yes, yeah,
okay. All
yeah.
right. Now
And
let me.
before this, actually, 2 minutes that we are there, I just actually 1 minute quickly just give you a brief idea. I was actually a realtor, but started mostly working in my own community from my old country people and immigrant people that I try to kind of help them, help them with the renting and those things. And gradually, I got that hey man, I'm just there. I'm just answering lots of the questions about the rentals and those things. Why don't get the license for the property manager?
Oh,
And it's oh wow.
I'm gonna write this down because I just want to make sure that I get it right. So Ali, how do you pronounce your last name?
Well, it's very difficult. Just well,
I'm just gonna
download
call you
the
Ali then.
yes, just Ali.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
simple, easy.
Ali, and you are a property manager and realtor.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And um And you've been doing this for how long?
5 years.
5 years. And you help people, um,
Actually,
uh,
with their rentals, they are helping both tenants and landlords.
okay, help
Yeah,
tenants and landlords. Okay. That way,
yeah,
um, that way I just don't mess anything up while we're recording and I don't look
yes,
like a
yeah,
fool.
yeah.
Okay. You,
So it's 1 o'clock. Do we have any people came or?
let's see here. No, I can't. I don't know how to.
Oh, yeah, I can see 5 participants that it might be four for me and you. And no, we have three attendants now
That's great.
in a
I want to make
waiting
sure.
room. It needs them, actually, you need to let them in, please.
Yes, that's it. So I cannot see. So I do. Three attendees are in the waiting room. So I don't see where my screen. Okay, webinar. Um, I don't know
So
where.
at the bottom of your Zoom screen, the
Can
black
you let them in,
one.
Ellie? Because I can't, I
No, I
don't,
can't. Basically, I don't have an option. I don't see here.
it doesn't say let them in.
No, I have attendees. It says the three attendees in the waiting room, but doesn't give me any option to let them in.
Me either. How do I start the webinar? Let me see here. I'm gonna close that. Ah, there we go. Okay, I got it. You ready? Let's
Mhm.
do it. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today on this kind of hot and humid day. It's so nice that we have you all here. We're very excited to do our renters awareness presentation today. We have Mr. Ali joining us. He's a property manager. He's a realtor. He's been doing this for multiple years. He helps both both tenants and landlords on both sides with their agreements and rental options and things like that to make sure that everything is safe for both parties. So why don't everybody join me in a big warm welcome for Mr. Ellie? Thank you so much for joining us, Ellie.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sora, and the great thanks to our all valued attendees in this seminar. I can see the name of four people in our attendees list, and I'm just wondering if 102, or we may just start with just warm up talk and then get to the main part of the
Yeah, and I would
seminar.
say,
How's that?
Ellie, if you wanted to introduce yourself a little bit, you could to see if more people show up. If not, we are recording this, so we'll be posted
Okay.
on our YouTube page so we can broaden our reach as well. So anybody who may miss the live action version, they can catch us recorded on YouTube as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sora. And the only thing is that I really appreciate if you can please share your screen and the document of the yes, perfect. That's there. And basically, I started my business in the real estate, and in real estate, a realtor which mainly deals with buying and selling the residential properties, sometimes get in touch with the tenants, with the tenanted actually properties. But beside of that, I used to help the newcomers or other people, especially newcomers in the city, with their rental agreement and those things. And I get to this point that, hey, I'm already there. Why not get the license for the property manager at the same time and to be more positive in my way? So that was the actual story that for me that beside in addition to the real estate, I got the property management a license which deals with the renting of the residential properties. So, and knowing about the details of the regulations and about the contract and about all these details basically helps both parties, helps lenders and landlords and the tenants at the same time. Because if we can get to a point that it's get to less disputes or less disagreements down the road, it's going to be very, very healthier and more effective and efficient for both parties. I appreciate if you please, Sarah, we can go to the second slide. Okay. Second slide, documented. I would like to mention that if you want to take only one point from this seminar, this would be the most important thing. Document all the steps and things that happens through your rental agreement. Legally, we don't have to have a written legal agreement in Alberta. It can be verbal, but it's a very best practice to have everything written, documented, and crystal clear. Because if there is any dispute, there is any disagreement down the road, now we have the proof, we have the document, and we can refer to it. Sometimes problems comes to some kind of the verbal agreements. For example, let's say I'm a tenant and I call my landlord and I ask a question. The landlord answers us on the phone. Okay, the best way is, well, if it is possible for me to send an email or send an text message to have kind of a written proof for that one. But if it's on a kind of a verbal agreement or verbal things, still there are ways for us to document it. One of the way is just sending an email or a text message after that phone conversation and simply saying that, hi, Mr. Landlord, with regard to our conversation on the phone about at what date, we agreed that blah, blah things is going to happen. So we can get some kind of the documents, although it was initially in kind of a verbal conversation and we didn't have any proof for that one. Or if it's something more important, you can always send an email or text message to the other party and saying that, okay, through this conversation, we got to this point. Would you please confirm this? Something like this to have that proof. So always still for the non-written things, we can kind of work on it and get to kind of the documented proof for that thing that we think that it might be important, we may need it in future. And we can, if we can go to the next slide, please, and thank you, Sarah. Okay. The law and regulations that actually governs about the tenancy, residential tenancy. The first and the main part is the Residential Tenancy Act of Alberta. Please be advised that the law and regulations are province-based. They are provincials. So the regulations and law are different from, let's say, from Ontario to BC, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. Different provinces have got different rules and regulations. This is something that we need to keep in mind. Other regulations that actually affect a rental agreement are like Condominium Act. Please be advised that Condominium Act has more power than Residential Act. For example, as an example, a condominium bylaw says that you cannot have a pet in this condominium. The landlord is not aware of that bylaw term and rents his unit to you, and in the tenant in that rental agreement, he has agreed that you can have a pet. Now there is a conflict between the condominium bylaw and your tenancy agreement. Now the Condominium Act is going to win. I mean that it was the fault of the landlord, and you can either not have the pet or the landlord should agree with the termination of your contract because it was his mistake, or might be, you know, have to pay for your loss about the money or whatever the damage that you have seen here. Other important regulations that play role here is Public Health Act, Housing Regulation, and Minimum Housing Standard. This minimum housing standard by Alberta Health Services is usually important, especially at the time that you are dealing with some kind of the problems as a tenant at the house. That's kind of the, let's say, rodents, or there is cockroaches or mouse or those things. We will talk about it later. Landlord is supposed to provide a healthy and good place for you to leave and get the money because of that one. So if there is any problem, something like this, you need the landlord. It's kind of the cooperative responsibility of both parties, not only the landlord and the tenant at the same time need to cooperate and solve the problem. But basically, landlord cannot ignore that problem. Again, here I want to mention back about the importance of documenting the problems. If, this is a real example. About 2 years ago, a friend of mine called me and said that he is a tenant. He calls me and says that, hey, we have mouse in our unit. What can I do? I said, okay, immediately email it to your landlord, document it, and tell him, ask him, come and fix the problem. I didn't hear anything back from that guy up to about 6 months later. He calls me back and says that, hey, Ali, the problem is still there. I said, oh, excuse me, what did you do? I said that I told my landlord, and what happened? He says that I'm coming to fix it. He never showed up. I said that, what did you do next? He said, nothing. So, oh my God, no. You have to follow up the case. You have to let the landlord that, hey, there is a problem there. If landlord is not going to pay attention or fix the problem, document it and tell him that, hey, if you are not coming to fix it, I'm going to go and fix it on your expenses. I'm going to pay it from my own pocket, send you the receipts, and at the end of the month, I'm going to deduct it from your rent. 100%, I promise the landlords will take action immediately. And if the problem doesn't happen, still you have the proof that you did your best, you did your part. Now it's the landlord that needed to do something about that. Talking about the regulations, there is one thing that, again, is very important. Tenancy Act applies only if the landlord tenant doesn't have a shared living area by the means of kitchen, cooking facilities, and bathrooms. So let's say just if there is let's say 2-bedroom apartments and you are renting one of the bedrooms and the landlord is living in the same apartment using the other bedroom, because you are sharing the kitchen or you are sharing the bathroom, this contract and agreement that you have there as a tenant doesn't goes to the category of the Tenancy Act. It goes to another act called Bed and Breakfast and Cheap Inner Act, which is totally something different. Well, again, if you are sharing kitchen or bathroom with the landlord, if you are sharing kitchen or bathroom with another tenant, there isn't any problem with that one. Don't worry about that. It goes through the Tenancy Act. But if you are sharing it with the landlord, it goes to totally another direction there. Okay, so if we can go to the next slide, please and thank you. Okay. And well, I forgot to tell about this. I think that, well, yeah, we can actually, if you have any kind of questions and those things, please write it down. And at the end of this seminar, I will be there to answer them as much as I know about the answers.
Thank you,
So,
Ali. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that as well, that if anyone's
yeah,
got any
thank you so much.
questions, yeah.
Yeah. So rights and responsibilities. Let's look at this from this angle. That who's the best tenant for a landlord? The best tenant for the landlord is the tenant who pays the rent on time and keeps the premises and the unit in the clean and not damaged way. And who's the best landlord for the tenant? The landlord who provides a clean, nice place for the living according to what we had agreed, not disturbing the tenant when it's not required, and comply with the terms of the agreement and the law. And well, this complying actually applies to both sides at the same time. So always, just like always, rights comes with responsibilities, and tenants again, it's a and when we have a contract, basically, as the contract is more in detail, more clear, and we have everything is seen there, we have talked and seen everything and agreed on the terms, there shouldn't be any dispute, or misunderstanding about that one. So this is the importance of the contract, that it needs to be clear, everything better to be documented, clear, and both parties agrees and knows about their rights and about their commitments that they have on the contract. So if we go to the next slide, please and thank you. Okay, rent contracts. In one way for actually putting this in two different categories of the fixed term or periodic contract. Fixed term contract, rent contract, is a contract that its start and its end date is clear and known. For example, let's say if it's an annual rental contract, we say it starts from the February 1st of this year and ends up on the January 31st of the next year. This fixed term contract can be 1 month, 6 months, 3 months, 1 year, whatever. What we usually see is a 1-year contract as a fixed term contract. During the fixed term contract, everything, all the terms are fixed. I mean by the terms, the start time is clear, the end date is clear, and the rental amount is clear. So this is one way of having the contracts on that ones. During the fixed term contracts, both parties are bound to the terms of the contract. So if you have a fixed term contract for 1 year, after a couple of years, if you are a tenant or landlord, you cannot go to the other party and say that, hey, you know what, my plans are changed, or I have changed my mind, please let's terminate the contract. You cannot do this. You are bound to the terms of that contract. But always there can be a mutual agreement. At any stage, if both parties agrees to something new, including terminating the contract or changing the terms of the contract, it's possible and it's legal. But both parties need to agree. They are not supposed to agree or go with that one. You need to actually to consent of the other party to go with that one. Another term of the contract is periodic contract. It repeats and renews itself automatically without need to do any action. It can be monthly, for example, periodic. It means that by the end of the month, coming and next month, it's automatically the previous contract repeats. So same terms for the one month and same rental amount. In a fixed term contract, by the end of the contract, neither of parties need to give a notice to the other party. We know, for example, at the end of this June, our 1-year contract is going to end. I'm tenant. I don't need to tell my landlord that, hey, the end of the June is the last day of my tenancy agreement. Neither the landlord needs to tell me about that one. It's in the contract. But again, for the courtesy and for the good practice, it's much, much better to communicate clearly with the other party ahead enough, 1 month before, 2 months before, call the landlord, say that, hey, landlord, as you know, our contract is going to end in 2 months. What's your plans? I would like to stay. I would like to stay at the same place. What's your thoughts? What's your rents? Are you going to increase the rent? Decrease the rent, negotiations, every other terms. It's better to be on top of the contract before it comes to that point. But legally, neither of the parties need to give a notice to the other party. At the end of a fixed term contract, if neither of the parties say anything, they just keep silent. We get to the, let's say, end of the month, 12th month, the tenant pays 13th month the rent and the landlord gets that money. Now legally, that fixed term contract is switched to a periodic month-to-month contract. Periodic month-to-month contract is different from the fixed term. Now, if the tenant wants to actually end the contract, he only needs to give 1 month notice, one full month, calendar month notice. For example, if it's now and I'm in a periodic contract, I'm a tenant, and now it's June 18th, I can give a notice to my landlord and says that, hey, my last day for this periodic contract is going to be July 31st. I need the whole month of July as one my complete notice for that one. I cannot say that this is June 18th, I'm going to leave on July 18th. No, I need one complete calendar month notice. For the landlord, it's another story. When it goes to the periodic contract, basically, landlord cannot terminate the contract unless he has got some reasons, some legal reasons, including reasons that the landlord himself or family of the landlord wants move and come live in that building, or the landlord wants to sell that building, or the landlord wants to do major renovations and construction there. Other than that, landlords cannot give a notice to end a periodic tenancy agreement. There is another way for the landlords, and here in Alberta, as you know, there isn't any cap amount for rent increase. So in a periodic, as we mentioned, in a fixed term, the landlord cannot increase the rent during the term of the contract. When the contract ends, it's going to be a new contract. Now the landlord may ask another amount of the rent or may want to change the terms. But during the term of the fixed term contract, they cannot do that. In a periodic rent, if the landlord wants to increase the rent, he has to give 3 months notice ahead. So he can ask for any amount because here in Alberta, we don't have any cap for increasing the rent. You are renting an apartment, let's say for last 2 years for 1,500 per month. It's a periodic month to month. Now the landlord may come, give you a 3 months notice ahead that, hey, I'm increasing my rent, let's say to $4,000 or whatever. This is usually the tool that the landlords can use for terminating a periodic tenancy. They cannot terminate unless they have good reasons, or they can use actually by asking for increased rent, but still they need to have 3 months notice ahead for that one. What is important about contract is try to write down as much as possible in detail and crystal clear. They say that the good contract is a contract which a person who is not aware at all about that contract comes, reads it, and understand every part of it. Don't try to leave any part of a vague things there or something that is not certain, especially about something about the utilities. Who's gonna pay the utilities? Whose responsibility is that? If you are a tenant, the utility, you are going to set up your own account by the utility companies, or the landlord is going to use his own account and is going to ask you to pay that bills. If it's the second way that I introduce, I mean that the landlord is going to keep his own accounts and is going to ask you to pay that ones, make it clear that, okay, how you are going to tell me that how was the utility bill. For example, you may ask that, okay, when you receive the bill, give me a print of that bill, a copy of that bill. And from the time that you give me that bill, I have, let's say, 2 weeks time to pay that bill. Make this clear. Again, don't leave them open-ended. These may cause disputes. Again, you say that, okay, you have to pay the utility, but when are you going to pay? We don't have a deadline. We need to make it clear. This is going to, again, save the problems further down the road. Talking about the parkings, do you have the parking or not? Again, this is another case that I had in one real case. It was a newcomer family. They came and rented a house. It was a detached house. They rented the basement. There was a two-car detached garage there. The upstairs, the main tenants on the upstairs, they had one car. This new family, they didn't have a car. They said that, okay, we want the garage. The landlord says that, okay, one spot in the garage is yours. But when you buy the car, this spot is yours. They bought the car about 2 months later when they wanted to come and park the car in their well, well designated spot in the garage. The other tenant disagrees and says that, oh no, you have rented the whole garage to me. And this actually tenant calls me and says that, Ali, what can I do? I said that what is written in your contract? And said that nothing is written in my contract about garage and parking the spot. He just verbally told me that when you buy a car, you have one spot. So that, well, sorry about that. No, we cannot prove it. These are the main parts that you need to be careful about that once again, document all of those things. Another thing is about the maintenance and repair, that who is responsible for what. Sometimes, especially in the condominiums and in the apartments, they put that, for example, the clogged sink or toilet is the responsibility of uh, the tenant to get it fixed, and doing that once again, no problem with that one, but the problem happens when you are not aware of that one. Don't try to not face with the surprises, both sides, neither the lenders, neither the landlords nor the tenants. Thank you so much. If we can move to next slide, Sarah, please, and thank you. Okay. Security deposit and inspection reports. As you know, landlords are entitled to get a security deposit maximum to the equal to 1 month rent. There might be another fees, like let's say something like that, which are one-time fee, or some of them actually divided by 12 to add it to the rent. If it's added to the rent, again, it's considered kind of a rent. But if it's called a fee, like those kind of the pet damage fee or pet cleaning fee or whatever, these are not going to be paid back at the end of the tenancy agreement. So it's one-time paid fee done. It's not security deposit. Security deposit is a money as a security. The landlord legally is supposed to put it in a interest earning account at the end of the tenancy time. He needs to pay back the interest which is accumulated on that one by the Alberta I think they go with the ATB interest rate. There is a calculator in the Alberta government website that shows exact amount. It's not going to be a big money. For example, for a rental for, let's say, $3,000 rent per month, after a year, it ends up to about $35, something like that. It's not a big money. Or again, both parties may agree to somehow deal with it in another way. They may agree that the landlord is not going to pay the interest, not a big deal, but still it needs to be written in the document and it be clear. By starting a tenancy, what happens, tenant goes to the new place, the landlord or his representative should be there, and they need to fill out the move-in check-in list. This is very, very important to just go and check everything, appliances, doors, carpets, windows, window blinds, everything is that there, that how is their cleaning, how are they clean, are they in a working condition, how's their situation, and fill out that checklist. If there is anything, let's say one glass has got a crack, or there's a stain on the carpet, or there is a stain on the wall, on those things, write them down and document this. And this document need to be completed and agreed and signed by both parties by the actually moving in, by starting the tenancy. Something that we need to pay attention is that normal tear and wear is always there. So let's say you're moving into a new apartment that they have just put a brand new carpet there, and you live there for 1 year. After uh, after 1 year, a person cannot come there and says that, hey, this was a brand new carpet, and no, it's not brand new. Normal tear and wear is something that the landlord cannot deduct money because of its use. If you have a carpet in the wall, if the carpet doesn't have a stain and when you are leaving, there's a stain on the carpet, it's another story. But normal wear and tear, again, is something that it cannot be considered as a damage for that ones. At the end of the tenancy, same thing will happen again for the checkout walk-in list. Again, the landlord and the tenant need to be there to go through that list again and to check exactly one by one items that what is in which situation. If there is any damage and those things, the landlord and both parties need to sign it, complete it. If this is done, now the landlord can deduct money or some money because of the damage which are there. Something that, again, I want to pay your attention to that, and it's, well, usually happens. They put in the contract that by leaving the unit, you have to get the carpets professionally cleaned. Be aware, if you are a tenant, be aware about this term, that professionally cleaned means that I cannot do that, you cannot do that. You need to go and pay a couple of $100s to a professional cleaner company, get it professionally cleaned, keep the receipts, and give it to the landlord as a proof of that one. So if you are renting a place and you see such a term, the best thing is that just at the same time that you want to sign the contract, talk about this to your landlord that, hey, I don't agree with this. I'm going to, if you don't agree, basically, I'm going to clean, I'm going to vacuum the carpet, I'm going to clean it myself, and I'm going to get to you as the same situation that was in the day one when I moved in. If they agree, again, don't leave it there in the contract. Just cross it. Ask them to cross it and initiate it. That, okay, this part is changed. If they say that, okay, you know what, don't worry about that one, we are okay with that. Well, they might be yes, might be no. So again, better to be clean, to be confident about the terms and agreements that we have there. Yes, it's me. It's me, Ali Javed.
You were booked this morning.
No, I'm so sorry about that one. I'm Ali Javed, and I'm booked this booking room up to 2:30.
No. What is your name?
Ali Javed.
I don't have you booked in this room at all.
It's meeting room 3, correct?
This is meeting room 3,
Yes.
but did you book in private office 3 perhaps?
No, meeting room 3. Excuse me, I'm in middle of a meeting
I
about.
have another member though that has booked this room.
Okay, I will wrap up this as quick as possible, but okay. I'm so sorry about that one. There was a, well, maybe
That's okay.
misscheduling in this office. I'm so
Ali,
sorry about
why
that
don't you
one.
just go through what you have left probably in the next
Yes,
like 10 minutes or
Actually, it's not much more left about this ones. So if you can please move to the second and the next, basically we are almost there. So
Okay.
other important topics that we need to know is the landlord right of the entry. Landlords can enter the premises, but they need to give you a proper notice ahead of that ones. And or if they feel that if it's well abandoned and it's vacant and there is something emergency in that cases. About the rent increase, we talked about that one. They cannot increase the rent in a fixed term. In the periodic, it needs 3 months ahead notice. Sublet and assigning. Okay. Sublet of a tenancy is that tenant number one is still in the play. He's responsible for the tenancy agreement, and tenant number two enters in that place. Tenant number one leaves that place. Tenant number two is going to stay there and live there. Assigning is that tenant number one terminates the agreement. He's totally out of the stage now, and new tenant is going to a new contract with the landlord. Please be advised that always in these contracts, you have to have three parties agreeing with this. So tenant cannot sublet a part or the whole property to another tenant unless the landlord agrees with that one. This is something very important about that. So if somebody says that, okay, I have rented a house, now I can sublet a room of that house to you, always ask and be sure that the tenant actually knows about the story and actually has the consent about this one. And termination of the tenancy, both parties can terminate a tenancy if there are some basis and some reasons for that one, and that one actually kind of a breach of contract. If a party breaches the contract, the other party may apply to the court or just asking the other person to terminate the contract because of that breaches. And breaches can be kind of substantial breaches or can be almost small breaches, but repeating more and more. And it's the cases that the courts usually look at them as a substantial breach of the contract and ask for termination of the contract. So if you move to the next slide, okay, there might be some always dispute and disagreements. Again, the best way to avoiding them is having a clear contract on that one. There is a very good document, RTA handbook. You can just Google it. It's a document published by the government of Alberta, Residential Tenancy Act Handbook. It has got all the summary of the act and helps both parties to better understand about their situations and regulations. If it's not solved between the landlord and the tenant, you have to apply to the Residential Tenancy Dispute Resource Services. Now they have moved to the 12th Avenue in Calgary, 12th Avenue, just across the street by the Sheldon Schumer Clinic. They are very, very helpful, very supportive, very kind, nice persons. If you almost go there in person, they would answer your questions and they will guide you about what you need to do if you have a problem with your landlord or if you have tenant. And the basic things that, well, basically goes to the court and justice system if the dispute still is there and it's not solved in these levels. Thank you so much. And next slide, if there are any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? If you do, you can go ahead and put them in the chat box. I will go ahead and just make this bigger. Now, before, I mean, if anybody's typing right now or anything, Ali, I did have one question because you were talking about how regulations are different in each province, but I wondered if it's the same like foundations. Is it similar? Like, what might some of those differences be?
Well, in some cases they are similar. In some cases they are quite different. You know, for example, one of them is about the rent increase cap. Or for example, in some other provinces, if you are renting a place and it's kind of your rental investment property for the landlord, they cannot terminate the contract.
Oh.
I've heard about, I'm not sure, but in some cities, at least in BC and in Ontario, especially in the places that's much more bigger population there. This is for more protection for the tenant side, and they only have be able to increase the rent, they say maximum 5% annually, and they cannot, terminate the rent. So
Wow,
yeah,
so different
it's
regulations and
quite different. It's quite
yeah.
different. Yes, yeah.
Okay, well, and thank you so much. And Wendy has a
No.
question here. She asked, she says, landlord's right of entry to your home. Is there an amount of time for that?
Okay. One thing that usually happens during the last month of the tenancy, the landlord has the legal right to bring new candidates for showing the house to them. It's the last month of the tenancy. The landlord is sitting, finding new candidates for renting for the next year. So at the last month, they have the right to bring, but always they have to give notice to the tenant. It's not something strictly written on the stone for the amount of notice,
Hmm.
but usually at least 24 hours, 48 hours, and again, it's in the interest of the landlord because the tenant get the time to a little bit clean up in the house, clean up the dishes, not put all the dishes in the sink and everything, make the house looks nicer, smell nicer, because the new person comes to see the place, wants to enjoy that place. So better to, again, it's the best thing is that having a good actually communication between the landlord and tenant. But at least it's 24 hours, at least 24 hours for these things. But in the case that if there is an emergency, for example, a neighbor calls the neighbor owner that, hey, tenants are not in, there is a broken pipe and the water is leaking out of the apartment. Then this is the time that the landlord may come there if the tenant is not there, has the right to enter without notice if there's an emergency there.
Hmm. And so I think Wendy also added shared living space, room renter agreement, provide link to bed and breakfast act for Alberta.
Okay. I don't have the link now. If you Google it, you will find it. But I have checked, I have read that act. It's about 15, 16 page that me myself I didn't get anything about that. It's those kind of the acts that I think it's not, well, I don't know, for a person again, something that I would mention it here as a just as a disclaimer that I'm not a lawyer, and all the things that actually I presented here and told you are just kind of a general knowledge about the tenancy as a property manager. I can share it with you. Those things about sharing place with the landlords, if you end up there, definitely you need to talk to a lawyer because
Oh,
again,
okay.
the act is something that it's not enough. We don't have enough sources about giving a good explanations about that situations.
And just while you were talking, Ali, I did find on the Alberta government
Oh,
website and
great
pasted that
job.
link as well to the bed and
Great
breakfast
job.
health standards and guidelines.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was
No
great.
problem.
Amazing.
That's how
Yeah.
I support. Come on
Yeah.
back to Unison and do more
Amazing. Oh,
online
thank you so much.
presentations.
I'm so happy to have you there.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That was a great question, Wendy. Now, if there's no more, I can see Ali's kind of being like hurried out of that room. So let's get out of here.
Act-
Ali,
Actually, actually, just now they mentioned that no, I'm good. I had booked it. I'm sure I had the email. I had the everything. There was some kind of messed up there, but well, we're good. Anyway,
okay,
if there are
wonderful.
any questions, any other comments or questions about that was, and something else, again, Sarah, all of our valued attendees in this seminar and every other persons from your nice and good institute. Anytime that you have any questions about the rentals and those things, again, this is not a business. This is just kind of actually my responsibilities to my, other nice Calgarian people or other nice people. As far as I can help or I know something, I would be more than welcome to share the knowledge with you. And I'm here always to help. as far as I
That's so
can.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Ellie, because it
You're very
is a
welcome.
subject that a lot of people, when you broach it, you don't really know your rights or the landlord's rights. So it's really
Exactly.
wonderful that you're willing to
Yes,
help
yes, yes.
Unison and all of our clients and our staff, if need be, that reach out and give them some information that they can really
More than
count on and
welcome
rely.
anytime. Yes,
Thank
yeah,
you so
yeah.
much.
You're very welcome.
All right. Well, then I guess that's it. If there's no more questions, I think we'll let Ali cut out of here a little bit early. Next time, you got to stay the whole hour, though. All right.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yes. Thank you so much for all nice attendees here. I can see their name, Wendy, Mary, Leslie, and Katie. Thank you so much for actually being here. Thank you so much again, Sarah, and thank you, your nice organizations, Unison, for all the supports and making this happen.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Eileen. Thank you,
Thank
everybody, for
you.
coming. We'll see you guys again online. Join us next time. We'll have some more fun and bring some more education to everybody. You take care, Ali. We'll be in
Thank
touch.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.